Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. I'm gonna stop now. You are so juvenile. You good? You promised me Spencer. I waited all weekend for you to do whatever it is you were gonna do, and then we were supposed to watch a real film. And then you went and cucked me. You cucked me like some self-loathing white boy. I know it, time got away from. Listen, I'm gonna do it. I am, but No Way Home is like right around the corner. You don't want to revisit Spider-Man. Superhero movies are for children anyway. You know what? Whatever. You stay here. You have fun. Talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. Talk about Spider-Man. Blah blah blah. I'm out. Slumdog Millionaire wasn't that great. Hey y'all, let's talk about Spider-Man. I do not care for Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man at all. I know he's the first one. I know he's the original, but that's really all he is. I do believe that Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy is the quintessential Spider-Man experience. Enough rambling. Let's actually talk about the movie. The first thing I want to talk about the movie? The opening credits. The little goofy song that I did coming in, completely tone deaf with no singing capability, whatever. I'm not saying the song is goofy, I'm saying me trying to recreate it was goofy. That is the best opening in all of the iterations of Spider-Man to this day. It's not even up for debate. Danny Elfman made the core Spider-Man theme. You cannot beat Danny Elfman. It just can't be done. Credit to James Horner, who did The Amazing Spider-Man. I like that one too, but we'll talk about that when that time comes. Right now, to this day, I sit in my car when I'm going places and I will just sit and play and listen to the opening credits to the Spider-Man movies. I do appreciate that in this trilogy, you get something in this trilogy that you don't get in the future versions of the franchise. You get the whole crew. I understand the comics evolve. I do. I get that characters grow out of where you were originally introduced. In the comics, Peter Parker's not really at the Daily Bugle anymore. Well, he might be. Last time I checked, he wasn't really at the Daily Bugle anymore. He had his own company. J. Jonah Jameson was dating his aunt. There's a whole bunch of stuff. We've long moved beyond, all that. I don't even think he's with Mary Jane anymore. This was the first time Spider-Man came to the big screen, at least in America. I think. So it was important to get all the touching stones in there. All of these iconic characters, it was important to represent them, in my personal opinion. The world of Peter Parker, the world of Spider-Man, as it is classically understood, is represented in these movies so well, I think goes a long way to why these movies have survived the test of time. I do not think that they are infallible, but I do think that there's a reason that we still like them, because I do still like them, and that's one of the main reasons. Another reason? Willem Dafoe was born to play the Green Goblin. You cannot convince me otherwise. The dude looks like a goblin. He bodied that role. So much so that when I see him in other movies now, to this day, I still see Green Goblin. J.K. Simmons was born to play J. Jonah Jameson. I don't know how they managed to do that, to get two definitive castings in that movie, to the point where I feel it can't be replaced. And in fact, it's not being replaced. J.K. Simmons is still playing J. Jonah Jameson in the Marvel Cinematic Universe version of Spider-Man. That you transcended franchises. That almost never happens. In fact, I can't, off the top of my head, think of an example where the person who played him or character previously got to play them in an upcoming franchise when it got rebooted or something like that. I can think of examples where there was like a cameo, like Lou Ferrigno cameos in the Incredible Hulk movie, but he's not playing Bruce Banner. You know what I mean? So the fact that his talent is so recognized, I think that's a pretty solid metric for how well he did with that role. I don't even care for the Green Goblin. In the comic books, on screen. Green Goblin does not rank as villains that I particularly care for. I'm not saying he's a bad villain. I don't rock with him like that. But I love watching this dude play him. I love watching that movie. The fact that he so challenges Peter Parker. Peter in that movie, he gets these powers. He's just figuring life out. He's chilling, fighting criminals, blah, blah, blah. And then suddenly this super villain just comes out of nowhere, out of left field, and you're like, all right, I guess I got to go deal with that now. The friendships, the dynamics that Peter has with other people, the kind of tense, even from jump, the low key kind of tense relationship he has with Harry. They're pining after the same girl. Harry low key probably feels a bit jealous because his father shows Peter attention and love that he himself can't get. Peter's flirting with Mary Jane, and his desire to want to be with her, and her not really seeing him and kind of growing to see him, and this, that, and the third. The line between Peter's life sucks and Peter's life can be awesome. Harry Osborn dies in the comics and stuff like that. A lot happens to this dude. But sometimes I feel like the movies are so in love with the idea that Peter's life is hard that they oversell it. And it's just like, you feel like you're watching a Shakespearean tragedy. But at least in this movie, I feel like it got the balance right. It was written to be a trilogy, I feel. And you can tell at the end of the movie, the seed is set for Harry to want to go after Spider-Man in some regard. Harry doesn't know that Peter is Spider-Man by the end of the first movie, but the fact that Harry and Peter have a little bit of tension completely separate from the Spider-Man Harry dynamic, and then Green Goblin dies and Harry has every reason to believe that Spider-Man murdered him, there is a natural foundation laid for these two to go at it. So what's going to happen eventually. He doesn't just show up in the next movie, now he's just mad or whatever. It's all there. This movie takes Peter Parker and shows you the humanity of him. God is supposed to pay him the $3,000 and he gyps him. He uses this opportunity to get back at him when the criminal robs him. He doesn't stop the criminal even though he could have. And you can actually take a step back before that. The fact that he was in this wrestling thing to begin with, he knows that he has these powers now. You know what I mean? He knows that he's been enhanced. He may not know to what degree or whatever, but he takes his powers to go get himself some money. He uses his powers for personal gain. And it's not cruel, but it is selfish. You know what I mean? And as a kid, because Tobey Maguire is playing a kid, though he doesn't exactly look like one. As a kid, I think you'd be hard pressed to find somebody who wouldn't use these new abilities to make their life better in some way. He sees an easy way to make $3,000. $3,000 is probably a lot of money to a high schooler. That's a lot of money to me now, So he sees this opportunity. He goes in there. He wins himself some money. He gets gypped by the guy who's supposed to give him some money. He sees a dude running. He's like, you know what? I'm not going to help you. I love getting to see Peter being a douchebag because we get to see him grow. There's a lot of vitriol in the Amazing Spider-Man movies after Uncle Ben gets killed because Peter goes on this vendetta looking for the guy that killed him. Peter's first instinct in the Sam Raimi movies is to go find the dude that killed his uncle. The thing about him that kind of seemingly makes it different is that he got the report of where the guy was. He found him that night. Peter in Amazing Spider-Man had to go looking for the guy. You have to find people that look like him, looking for the tattoo and all that. You remember the montage. But it's hard pressed to say that the Peter in this movie wouldn't have done that if he didn't know where the guy he was looking for was. It just so happened that this had just happened and he knew how to find him. He went to go find him. But Peter can be vengeful. Peter can be spiteful. Peter can be angry. Peter can be hateful. He can be all of the things that regular people are. Even though he grows out of that as the movie goes on and he turns into a hero, he shows the capacity to be those things. And he does not save this man. You know what I mean? He doesn't murder him. But I'm not convinced Peter wouldn't have killed him. He knows that's the guy that did it. and he knows that this guy doesn't really seem to regret it because he begs, and then the first opportunity he gets, he pulls a gun and he tries to shoot the dude. So yeah, I don't know. First Spider-Man movie is full of heroic moments, and that is a big deal when you're talking about a superhero movie. Ironically, I feel like a lot of superhero movies of current day don't have a whole lot of heroic moment, and it all comes to a head with the choice at the end of the movie between personal love and innocent lives, and Goblin drops both, and now Peter has to be a hero and find a way to save them both, and he does. You know what I mean? Like, he finds a way to make it happen, and New York unites. The world in which your story takes place is just as much a character as all of the characters in the movie. So this spirit of unity that the New Yorkers show in this climax is so important to the scope of the story being told, of the world that Spider-Man inhabits, both within the universe, because we are seeing that the public has a perception of Spider-Man and it's kind of down the middle between whether they like him or whether they hate him. And these people who have seen him in action decide we're going to support this man because clearly he's heroic. But also, on a fourth wall level, this movie came out not long after 9/11 happened. So to show a New York unified in such a way, it it is that I don't have words for how powerful that is. It's a great movie. It is not the best Spider-Man movie. We haven't gotten there yet. However, I cannot think of a better way to introduce a character into the public eye. So those are my thoughts on Spider-Man. If you agree, if you disagree, leave a comment. Like the video, share it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you want to hear me talk about more nerd stuff. I'll be back. Spencer's going to get in there. Justice League's going to get in there. Like I said, the Spider-Man movies are coming. I'm going to do it all. I'm going to find a way to do it all, And don't listen to the dude over there. Like, it's going to get done. All right. All right. I will see y'all later. All right. Peace.